Hi guys, so with SEBI result coming out few days back, many of you who would have cleared phase 2 would be gearing up for the next phase of your journey, that is the interview phase. I know it might be very fulfilling to you. जब आपने शुरू किया था phase 1 के लिए तैयारी, फिर phase 2 के लिए तैयारी, बीच में you would have felt you can't do it, you would have felt demotivated, but then you're right here appearing for the interview phase. That's really good. Now, when you start preparing for an interview phase, there would be majorly I see two type of candidates. Ones who are very anxious. They are like क्या पढ़े, सब कुछ पढ़ना है, कुछ नहीं छोड़ना है, best देना है. So I just want to tell you guys, if you are one of those, don't be anxious. देखिए इंटरव्यू 15 मार्क का है, ज्यादा पढ़ने से कुछ नहीं होगा. इट्स नॉट अबाउट आंसरिंग ऑल द क्वेश्चंस, रेदर आई थिंक इट्स मोर अबाउट दैट इवन इफ यू डोंट नो एनीथिंग, how you can say sir I don't know with a smile on your face and can still impress them. ठीक है, तो anxious मत होइए. Even if your interview goes okay types, you will get 8-9. If it goes really good, you will get 12. 13-14 नंबर लेने तो बहुत मुश्किल है. It's almost exceptional. And then there are others who are too confident. Sir, it's just a personality test. It's just a conversation. It's just a 10-minute thing I'll handle. I'm a very good communicator. So I would like to tell you that it's not only about being a good communicator or being a convent educated person. It's more about your analytical skills, your perception about the external world, that how you can impress them with your answers. ठीक है, तो दोनों ही stages में नहीं रहना है. I don't want to be too much anxious. I don't want to be too much confident. We have to follow the middle path. In this video, I would be telling you 7 areas that you need to focus if you are preparing for SEBI interview. 7 areas यही हैं: DAF, knowing about SEBI, making yourself stand out, what to cover in current affairs, what to cover in static part, mannerism in an interview, and the mock interviews, which is the last step. Normally what people do is they start with the mock interview. No, you need to give mock interview after you are thoroughly prepared. So we have to follow these 6 steps first and then appear for the mock interview. I will be telling you about these 7 steps in detail, but before that, जो मैं ये 7 steps बताने वाला हूँ, we have told about these 7 steps in more detail in our free interview guidance program. ठीक है, if you want to enroll into this program, you can click on the link below, which is given in the description of this video, fill that form, and our team will contact you. They will give you free access to our SEBI Grade A interview course, which is not just about mock interview, rather it is containing detailed guidance on all the aspects, all the 7 areas that I told you in the previous slide. ठीक है, तो फॉर्म पे क्लिक कर फॉर्म को जरूर भरें, and you will get access to something really special that can take your preparation to another level if you're preparing for SEBI Grade A interview. चलिए, the first step is DAP, detailed application form. Now detailed application is something very very important. It's basically an opening to the interview panel about you. They don't know about you, they have never met you, but through your detailed application form they will try to judge you, they will try to interpret you. That's why detailed application is very very important. And when people fill detailed application form, I see a lot of common mistakes being made by them. I'll just list a few of them. If you want to see a detailed list of common mistakes, again, you have to enroll into that free interview course and you will see a detailed video on this. Common mistakes क्या होती हैं? जैसे कि references. You have to fill references in your form. Many people give very generic references. Manju, Rita, which are your padosis and neighbors. No, you have to give professional references. ठीक है, ये बैंक का खाता नहीं खुला रहे हैं हम, that they need the name of any 2 people. It would look really awkward. Rather you give some professional references who can vouch for your competitiveness, who can vouch for your intelligence. Educational qualification भरते हुए I see a lot of people not following any order. They will first fill 12th, then 10th, then graduation. No, you have to fill in a particular order. Then another very common mistake is then when people are filling reasons for leaving previous job, मतलब they are being too much thoughtful. क्या भरूं, डरते बहुत हैं, ये नेगेटिव चला जाएगा. Just be honest. If it has been a good career prospect for which you left a job, write that. What is bad in that? Everybody wants good career prospect. ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं है. Just be honest, but at the same time be democratic. ऐसा भी नहीं लिख देना है कि मेरा बॉस खड़ूस था, that's why I left that job. So you need to be very careful while filling the DAF and do not commit these common mistakes, जो कि बहुत लोग करते हैं, हमें नहीं करनी है. And why I am insisting so much on DAF? See, again, since DAF is something of an opening about you to the interview panel, they will definitely ask you some questions out of your DAF. Maybe they will ask you something on your family background, that you belong to this city. Okay, tell us about this city. What is famous about this city? What is famous about your birth of place? है ना? If your father is a businessman, this happened last year. They asked a question that, okay, how GST is what are the implications of GST on your father's business? So वो कहीं से भी related to your family background, they can ask you a question. Then on educational background or work experience also, they can ask a question. They will not go into too much detail here unless and until it is relevant to SEBI. Suppose your educational background is CA, or your work experience is in the banking sector, or say in the corporate finance, obviously then they might grill you there. But if your educational background or work experience, say, is in mechanical sector, IT sector, manufacturing sector, then I do not expect that they will delve too much into details there. But they can ask you some basic questions, obviously. Suppose your educational background is information technology, IT. They can ask you some very generic question that, okay, how blockchain works, explain me. This is something everybody working in IT is supposed to know. Then they might ask you something related to SEBI and IT, that, okay, we have this problem in SEBI, can we resolve this problem through information technology, or how information technology can improve things at SEBI. They can ask you that. Then they can ask you something related to current affairs in information technology. Similarly, with respect to work experience, they can ask you that how your work experience is going to be useful in SEBI, right? Why do you want to switch from, say, IT sector to SEBI? So वो आपको थोड़ा prepare करना पड़ेगा. Then they can ask you about outliers also. आपके education में gap years हैं, आपने बहुत सारी jobs switch की हैं, you have good marks in, say, 10th and 12th, but you have very low marks in graduation. That is what happened to many of the people I know. So these are outliers. अलग चमकेंगे आपके डैफ में. दे माइट आस्क यू क्वेश्चन ऑन दैट. देखिए, क्वेश्चन कोई भी हो, इट्स नॉट अबाउट that they are asking you because that is negative on your resume. No, they just need a clarification, and if you can justify that, I mean, there is no risk to you. If you can justify gap years, so there are gap years, but I have been learning in that gap years. Maybe there is no tangible output, but I'm still going through the process, and whatever I have learned, it is going to help me to land somewhere good. It's justified. That's okay. Right. So you have to frame a lot of good questions from your biodata. I can expect at least 100 or maybe 150 questions from your biodata. Ask your friends, ask your family members to ask as many questions from your biodata, and try to frame structured answers to them. Otherwise, it will look very embarrassing there that if they ask you something from your biodata and you are not able to answer. In your interview course, free interview guidance program, we have also given you more than 150-200 questions that can be asked from your DAF. So आप उसको भी पढ़ सकते हैं. Now, coming to know about SEBI, obviously when you are going for an interview of an organization, they expect you to know a bit about that organization. They don't expect you to know in detail about that organization. वो किसी को नहीं पता होगा. तो SEBI के बारे में बेसिक, SEBI कब फाउंड हुआ था, सेबी की हिस्ट्री क्या है, सेबी में कितने एम्प्लॉयज हैं, सेबी में कितने डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं, व्हाट आर द वर्क प्रोफाइल्स इन डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स, दैट यू नीड टू नो. मे बी दे कैन आस्क यू दैट वेयर डू यू सी योरसेल्फ फिट इन सेबी, सो दैट यू कैन एक्सप्लेन ओनली इफ यू नो द डिपार्टमेंट्स. देन एजुकेशनल इनिशिएटिव्स हैं सेबी के, NISM एंड NCFE, do read about that. Then innovation initiative of SEBI is there regarding regulatory sandboxes for fintech companies. Then publications, annual report of SEBI is there, and there is one Pustak Lekhan initiative by SEBI in which they basically publish books which have stories in Hindi to make investors aware about the financial markets. That's very interesting. Go through that. Then here some other reports which are published by SEBI. Then press releases which basically contains recent developments which are happening in SEBI, and speeches given by persons related to SEBI or persons working at SEBI, which are really good. They are analytical, and they will also make you aware about the latest things that are happening in this affair related to SEBI. इतना पढ़ लीजिए, ये काफ़ी है. Apart from that, obviously you need to read newspaper also, that I would be telling you in the current affairs. But I think from website, if you can read all this, that is going to be more than enough for you. ठीक है. और when you read anything from the website, बहुत रट्टा लगाने की कोशिश ना कीजिए. Just try to be understand. See, whenever they ask you anything in an interview, they expect from you what a journal person is supposed to be aware. That's it. आप काम नहीं कर रहे हैं वहां पे अभी. You are just aspiring for this. So don't be too anxious to read everything and ratta maring everything. That is not required. And one more thing which I'm going to tell you, which is very, very important. If you read, say, about NISM here. Now, even if they don't ask you about NISM, okay, it's not necessary that in an interview they will ask you about NISM. So the knowledge that you have gained here about NISM might not be useful in an interview if they do not ask you that question, right? That's a general perception. But that is not the point. What I expect you is that whatever you read here, try to use that information in your answers. That maybe they ask you, what does SEBI do? A generic answer would be that, okay, SEBI regulates the stock markets, it protects the interest of investors. That's a journal answer. But if you can add that, okay, sir, I read on the website that SEBI has education initiative by the name NISM, where they help people get educated about the financial markets so that they cannot be defrauded easily. That will add value to your answer. Right. Or maybe if it is asked, what does SEBI do? You can quote that, okay, sir, SEBI does this, and I also read in the SEBI annual report that SEBI is doing this. Marvelous. They will really appreciate that you are telling them something extra which you have gained knowledge from the website. So it's not only about reading something and expecting a direct question from that. Rather, listen to me carefully. Most of the times it's also about that whatever you know, how do you relate that to your answers which are asked in the interview panel to impress them. Next is make yourself stand out. This is also on the same lines as I talked about in the previous slide. See, when we go for an interview, obviously there would be some standard questions and you can give some standard answers, but how can you give some more practical, some more thoughtful answers that will make them realize that he is a serious aspirant or she is a serious aspirant? So we have to follow some practical channels. See, our answers will look more real, more practical if we have a ground knowledge. सिर्फ bookish knowledge देंगे, that they would be listening from all the aspirants, they would be saying that, okay, he is also one among the rest, let's give him some 8-9 marks and close this. But if you can give some real quality answers which are based upon practical, on ground knowledge, they would be really happy about your answers and they will definitely give you some extra marks, that ever elusive marks. So what you need to do, you just need to have some experience already thinking that you are a SEBI Grade A officer. We don't do this. We are just plain lazy. Meet some brokers, meet some merchant bankers. Ask them, what is SEBI doing them? How SEBI is impacting their work? What is they feel are the problems with SEBI? But obviously, be aware here that they will be telling you some even non-genuine problems. So do not tell them to the board there, interview board there. Like, try to analyze at your end. Visit some stock exchanges. See at least what is the infrastructure there, who is working, who is sitting there. Interact with people there. You will get a lot of on ground knowledge, and that basic knowledge, if you can incorporate in your answers, my god. Do some NISM certifications. What's the big deal? There are some basic certifications by NISM that you can clear in just 2-3 days. You can do that. Read some books by ex SEBI people. UK Sinha Going Public, excellent book. A Game Changers Memoir by G.N. Bajpai, again an excellent book. When you will read these books, you will feel that how SEBI works internally. What is the accountability of SEBI? How is the integrity at SEBI? What are the challenges at SEBI? How SEBI has transformed the regulation of capital markets over the last 10-20 years. You will get to learn a lot. You will get an insider view of how SEBI works. And that is what you need to share. Again, when I'm telling you to do this, it's just not about, they will not ask you, okay, have you read UK Sinha? Do not expect that question in an interview. But you need to incorporate that in your answer. Why do you want to join SEBI? Sir, I was really influenced by something that was written in UK Sinha's book that SEBI did this. How SEBI overcame so many challenges and how SEBI overcame so many fraudsters to implement these regulations over a period of say last 10 years, and they have completely changed the scenario now. That is, you need to show your passion. You need to show your that desperation. I need this job, and that will come only if you have genuine feeling towards this job, that I want to get this job, and that will come only if you do all this. Yes. Similarly, they can ask you that, okay, say what does SEBI does, right? What does SEBI does? then here also you can give some standard answers. But if you have, say, interacted with brokers, merchants, you have read these books, then maybe you are there to tell something different. That one or two lines, influential lines that you would have picked up from your conversations with these people who are having practical knowledge, or from these books of the people who have worked in SEBI, will help you get those extra marks. Do this. Don't be lazy. It's about your career. Then what to cover in current affairs? That's a very, very important question. See, current affairs are overhyped. You need not be aware about everything in the current affairs related to SEBI. Even if they ask you something and you say, sir, I don't know, they will immediately change the question and they will ask you something else in the current affairs. And most of the times what happens is they ask you that, okay, do you read newspaper? What is the recent in news about SEBI? It's a very open-ended question where they are telling you to tell any current affair related to SEBI. Right? So the point is not that whether you are knowing all the current affairs, but whatever current affairs you are knowing, you should be very thorough. That what are the reasons for implementing any regulation? What were the problems for which this regulation was enacted? What are the implications? How will this solve the problem? What are the further challenges by implementing this regulation? That all should be very clear to you. Don't be factual, rather be more analytical. Try to understand the reasons and the implications behind anything. That is what you need to focus on current affairs. और उसके लिए आप SEBI website भी पढ़ सकते हैं, but on SEBI website the current affairs would be more of a factual in nature कि ये हो गया है. There are very less chances that they will go into detail and do postmortem of anything which is done by SEBI. That would be done in the newspapers. For that I would suggest you to read Live Mint. Excellent newspaper. Live Mint पढ़िए, साथ में बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड भी पढ़िए यार. आपके पास इतना टाइम है. It hardly takes 1 hour for you to prepare for interview on daily basis. What to cover in static place? Static syllabus. Now, this is something which is really confusing. First of all your subjects like costing, economics, finance, management, I don't think they are going to ask you something directly from your syllabus. So that's a time waste. All I think that they are going to ask is related to capital markets, is either the basics of capital markets or the regulations. So basics तो आपने already पढ़े हुए हैं. You would have already read about primary and secondary markets, equity and primary secondary markets, debt, while you were preparing for SEBI. So read that same thing again. Read that same thing again, and that will help you cover the basics of capital markets. Right? What is an IPO? What is an FPO? What is a green shoe option? Who are underwriters, merchant bankers? All that you will understand from these chapters that you would have read for your phase 2. But then regulations. See, SEBI is a regulatory body. It make regulations to regulate the capital markets. Right? उस regulations में बहुत सारी चीजें हैं that they can ask you. So I don't think कि आपको static part जो आपके phase 2 में था वो पढ़ना चाहिए. Rather you should be concentrating more on the regulations. SEBI को SEBI Act के अंदर बहुत सारी regulations बनाने का पार है, और SEBI ने बहुत सारी regulations बनाई हैं. Right? Like insider trading, unfair trade practices, substantial acquisition of shares, Security Contract Regulation Act, Depository Act, Stock Exchanges and Clear Corporation Regulations. ये बहुत सारी regulations हैं जो आपको यहाँ दिख रही हैं. ठीक है, तो आपको इनमें से सारी regulations का थोड़ा थोड़ा basic पता होना चाहिए, that what is the purpose behind these regulations and what are the major provisions of these regulations. ज़्यादा depth में आपको नहीं जाना है, but you need to understand the basics. Right? Because ultimately the area where you would be working upon is regulation of capital markets, and that regulation is done through these regulations. तो थोड़ा basic मेरे हिसाब से पता होना चाहिए. That is what they would expect you to know. ठीक है, insider trading बहुत ज़्यादा news में रहती है. They can ask you on that. Then mannerisms in the interview. As I told at the start, it is not just about having knowledge and answering all the questions. There are a lot of other things about your personality apart from the knowledge, and that is mannerisms. What is your dress code? How to enter the room? How to exit the room? How to make an optimal eye contact? What is the right body language? Do you sit like this? Do you sit like this? That is what all matters in an interview. Right? Sitting posture, hand movement कैसा होना चाहिए? How do you use your hands effectively while you communicate? How to handle stress in an interview? How to say I don't know to a question? 50% of the questions in an interview, there is a chance that you will say, sir, I don't know. But how do you say that? Do you say that, sir, I don't know, sir? Right? I mean, that shows lack of confidence on your part. On the other hand, if you get to know an answer question and you don't know the answer, maybe you can think about a while. Sir, I'm really sorry, I don't know the answer, but I'll surely try to read about this after the interview. That shows a learning ability on your side and a lot of confidence on your side, right? So सारा कुछ आंसर नहीं कर पाएंगे, it's okay, but how do you carry yourself in your interview despite not answering the questions? That is what matters. How to politely disagree. Sometimes in an interview, maybe you need to disagree because they are checking whether you take the same instance or you dwindle from it. At that time, you might have to disagree. But how to politely disagree, that is also an art. You need to learn all these. This is very, very important for you. Because your personality, as I said, is a combination of your knowledge and how you carry yourself. So mannerisms are something that are really, really important here. And the seventh, the last step, is the mock interview. Normally, the mistake is people start here and then they do this. No, first you have to do these 6 steps and then only go for the mock interview. Remember that. If you are not prepared, don't give a mock interview. It will just make your confidence low instead of doing anything good. Right? So guys, that's it. I hope these 7 steps will give you clarity as in how to proceed forward for your interview preparation. This is not a detailed video where I have told you that how to prepare, but this is just to give you a direction. In case you want more information on our interview program, which is free for everyone who have cleared phase 2, you can call us at this numbers 8146207241, or you can email us at hello@edutap.co.in, or simply you just need to do is to go to the description of this video, click on the link there and fill the form, and our team will take care that you basically get access to our free interview guidance program, where all these steps which I told you have been explained in more detail through more videos, so that you need not go anywhere and instead EduTap becomes one-step solution for you to crack your interview. Bye guys, have a nice day.